Welcome to Graceful Healing, a podcast to get straight talk about healing and living again. My name is Maureen Lake. I'm a holistic health coach, speaker, author, and thyroid disease fighter. Each week, I'll be bringing you graceful conversations to inspire you to seek new ways to hit the reset button to catapult your health and vitality to new levels. Listen in and open your heart to all the new possibilities. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, listeners. Today I have Dr. Annette Stephenson, who happens to be a board-certified audiologist living in the beautiful Cayman Islands. In fact, she has the only audiology clinic on the island and has been open for over a decade. Outside of audiology, Annette is also committed to guiding women who feel guilty for doing what matters to them instead of doing what is expected. Does that sound familiar? I know it does for me. Her mission is for women to hear their truth, to own the fact that saying yes to themselves doesn't mean that life will stop, and to be empowered to make themselves a priority. And what's really amazing about Annette is that what lights her up about her work is knowing that she can provide the gift of healing and compassion to women who are at any stage of a situation, struggling to find a solution so they can openly flourish. But Annette's story is really powerful and an important one to share. After a second trimester miscarriage, she lost her 3 triplet girls, and she now advocates to increase the awareness of pregnancy loss and stillbirth. We'll also discuss her nonprofit and the amazing, beautiful retreats that she holds in her home country, which are instrumental to the outcomes from her grief and grief from others. So let's buckle up and get ready to listen to Annette's amazing story. Hi, everybody. Today I'm so lucky to have Annette Stephenson as a guest on my show. I can't wait for you to meet her. Hello, Annette, and welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. I've been looking forward for this interview for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So if you could share your personal story and really just the journey of what occurred and how you landed where you are today, I know my listeners are going to be empowered by hearing it.
Oh, thank you. So, yeah, as you said, my name is Annette, but you already said that. Everybody knows that. So anyway, I'm from the Cayman Islands, born and raised. So I'm an island girl, and I am an audiologist. So for those who don't know, as an audiologist, I do hearing tests and balance tests. So I tell people when you can't hear and you're dizzy, you come see me. So, I'm the only audiologist. Well, I was till I hired somebody, but I came back home after school and I opened my clinic and, I was working in the clinic and like that became my life, and it was my business. And I used to say that's my baby. It's still my baby, even though it's almost 12 years that we've been open. And I was just, the businesswoman. This is, growing my business. And I was single, I wasn't in a relationship. But then, they say when you're not looking, that's when things happen. And in 2015, I actually reconnected with my high school sweetheart. Not high school sweetheart, my high school crush.
I'm laughing because that was the same for me too.
It's so funny. And he didn't know that I had a crush on him in high school. So 20 years later, it's just so funny.
Yeah.
And, we reconnected and we decided to see, what would happen, where things would go in. And having children was not on the horizon because we just reconnected. And in December the 12th, 2016, started like any other day. I went into my clinic and my assistant, who had been with me for about 6 years, she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm feeling kind of off. I just don't feel right. And, I'm late, but I'm stressed so I'm probably late because I'm stressed." And she looked at me, she's like, "Have you peed on a stick?" I'm like, "No." So anyway, long story short, it turned out that I was indeed pregnant. Total shock, unexpected. Here I was, 39. I'm pregnant for the first time. It's like, yay. So, I go right away to the doctor, and, I know most people, like their doctors say, oh, wait till it's 8 weeks or whatever. But I just walked into my doctor, being in the medical field, like I have that relationship with my doctors. I just walked in and said, like, I need you to see me right now. So when he did the ultrasound, he not only confirmed that I was indeed pregnant, but there were 2 sacs.
Wow.
And I was like, what you mean there's 2 sacs? He's like, there's 2 sacs. And so, okay, great. We're expecting twins. Awesome. Yay. Wonderful. So we went through the whole thing, and it was around Christmas time. And so there was a lot of preparation for Christmas. And then one day I wasn't feeling, I was having a lot of pain. So I said, all right, let me go and get checked out. So I go, and so we decided that we're going to check for the heartbeat. And he finds 1 heartbeat, and he finds the 2nd heartbeat, and then he stops. And he's like moving the probe around. Mm-hmm. And he says to me, he's like, Doc, do you see that? And I look at him and I said, I don't understand that, because that has nothing to do with the ear. So I don't know what I'm looking at. He's like, there's another heartbeat. I was like, say what now?
Whoa.
I'm like, you need to restart your equipment. No. He's like, there's 3. You're having triplets. Holy moly. Okay, wow. Triplets it is. So
that must have been a complete shock.
That was a shock. I remember my mom was with me at that appointment, and she was standing at the head of the bed, and she just started rubbing my head. It's going to be okay. 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 And I'm just like, yeah, it's going to be okay. We having 3 babies. So it was an exciting time, but it was also a stressful time. There were a lot of things happening in my life. My dad was in the hospital for about a month, and he was having difficulty breathing, and they couldn't figure it out. And there's 3 hospitals on the island, and he spent time at each hospital.
Wow.
He started like your regular hospital, then he went to like a little bit more advanced hospital, and then he finally went to like, the really high-tech hospital. But thank God he's doing well now. And pregnancy was going along well, and I was 5.5 months, and my water broke.
Oh God.
I was at home, and I just heard a pop and a gush. And my aunt was visiting, and she's like, are you peeing on yourself? And I was like, woman, really? This much pee does not come out of somebody. And I said, no, we need to get to the hospital right now. And I don't know why I wasn't optimistic, but I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I just knew in that moment that I was going to have to say goodbye to these 3 little girls. Mm-hmm. We get to the hospital, and they try and do everything they can as far as they can. And about 24 hours later, I delivered Tiana, and she was stillborn. And her identical sister Isabella was born about 20 minutes later, and she lived for about 5 minutes. And their fraternal sister Emma was born shortly after Isabella, and she also lived for about 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep, thank you.
I experienced a miscarriage myself, and I know the pain never leaves, ever.
No, it doesn't. And, people say it's going to get easier, but it doesn't get easier. Mm-hmm. This Christmas, this would be our 2nd Christmas without the girls. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know it, on Christmas Eve, both of my sisters announced that they're pregnant. Wow. So the emotions of this holiday season, and this would have been Christmas 2018, it wasn't a good holiday. Mm-hmm. I was trying to make it a good holiday. We decorated and everything. I was like, okay, yeah, we got to get back to living. And then you're hit with that news, and it's like, well, you want to be excited for them, mm-hmm. but then you're also hurting because, it's bringing up memories for you that you could have had your 3 little girls here, and they're not here. And you're not experiencing that. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like a double blow, because with their first pregnancies, they were also a couple months apart, so this was like 5 years ago, and I was like, oh, great. Both my sisters pregnant at the same time, which was wonderful. But then after losing my girls, for them both to be pregnant again at the same time, it's a bit of a rough blow.
Yeah, I bet. And also around Christmas time, which was when you found out that you were pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
all of those emotions, and I took the time that I needed. I was lucky that I'm blessed and fortunate that I had my own business, so I didn't have to rush back to work,
Mm-hmm.
And it was 7 months. It was 7 months to the day that I had a realization that I needed to start living again. I firmly believe that those three girls were not meant to be with me in the physical. I believe that they came to show me where I needed to step up and to start living my purpose. I was kind of like dipping my toe in this other area of business, but I wasn't fully committing. I was feeling this pull, I was feeling this call, and it's, call it what you will, say that I'm crazy if you want, whatever, but I believe that God, the universe, whatever you associate with, and those three girls conspired together that we need to shock the hell out of this woman and push her into the deep end because she's not doing what she's supposed to.
Mm.
And that's how I deal with it. And, out of that time, a lot of things have happened. My business, the clinic is doing great. I've got a wonderful staff, and it's given me the opportunity and the time to go into this area of pregnancy and infant loss and to bring more awareness to it because people aren't talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maureen, you said that you experienced a miscarriage. So you understand where people don't you want to talk to somebody, but they're not comfortable with you talking about it.
Right. Right.
You can talk to somebody about the death of a parent or a spouse or somebody, and they will respond differently than when you talk about the loss of a pregnancy or the loss of a baby.
Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times I heard well, it wasn't meant to be, or there was probably something wrong with it anyways, or all these justifications. And I'm telling you, it's not really what I wanted to hear.
No, it's not. I was like, if anybody says that to me one more time, I'm going to slap them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, being in Cayman is a very small island. Our population is about 60,000. And there are only 2 incubators on this island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, looking back at that time when I left the hospital, they gave me a brochure on grief, and that was it.
Mm.
And I was in the hospital for 2 nights, and I was on the maternity ward. So I'm hearing other babies. I'm hearing, I'm seeing people coming in with balloons or flowers and things like that. And so coming out of that, I have now started this mission where I've started a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is called Light After Loss. And part of the mission of the foundation is we want to raise funds to provide more incubators to the hospitals. And I want to, develop, create, dedicate a bereavement room in the hospital where families can be so that they can say their goodbyes without having to hear the other babies, and where it's somewhere where they can be as comfortable as they can be. And I've also started hosting monthly meetings because there was nothing on this island. And as I've started talking about it more, it's like there are more and more people coming. They're like, oh my goodness, this is so needed. And I was like, well, why didn't you start it? Why did y'all wait for me to start it?
Well, I guess it was just meant to be for you. What an amazing mission, though. My gosh, because 60,000 people, I don't know what the statistics would be of how many women miscarry a year, but it's got to be, I don't know what the average is, the typical, you might know and can clue me in, but it just seems like it's something so needed.
Yes. So the general statistics is that 25% of all pregnancies will end in a miscarriage.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah. So 1 in 4.
Wow.
But I think it's probably more than that, because I could be sitting in a room with 10 women and we're talking and not knowing them, and I share my story, and 6 or 7 of them will say, well, the same thing happened to me, so I think the statistic is greater, but that's sort of like the general all-encompassing number that they say is 25%, which is a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, and you're right, because there's probably many women that miscarry really early on and don't even talk about it.
Exactly, or they don't even realize that they've miscarried. Like it's so early, and they just think it's their regular cycle, and they don't realize that they've actually miscarried. So I think the number is a lot higher. And I think more needs to be said about it. Because for me, I'm coming from a place of the maternal mental health.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I didn't have, people look at me every day and they say, you're so strong. I don't understand how you're functioning and you're doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, how could I not? But everybody's different. And to me, this is how I've dealt with it. But there are women out there who don't have that strength or they don't have that support. And you can go into a dark place and you can go there quickly, mm-hmm. and it can be hard for you to come out. Mm-hmm. So I also think about that and, depression and the suicide. We don't know if the statistics on if women are taking their lives because they just can't handle it. And then you've got the stress on your relationship with your partner, and it's a lot.
Absolutely.
A lot.
Absolutely. What an amazing thing you're doing. It really is.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to honor them. I'm doing it for those girls, and I'm doing it for that woman who just needs to know that she's not alone. Mm-hmm. I live in the Cayman Islands, and so of course I started a retreat. I was like, why not? I live in the Cayman. Everybody wants to come to the island.
Exactly.
So we started a retreat, and I hosted the first one last year, and it was small. It was very intimate. There was 3 women, and they had experienced pregnancy and infant loss at different stages. There's one lady who has had 5 miscarriages in the last 10 years, and there's nothing medically wrong with her or her husband. And, we had someone who her son died when he was 3. So we had different degrees, but it was such a beautiful 5 days. Wow. Where these women were just able to pour into themselves. Mm-hmm. There was no distractions. There's something magical about Cayman. I might be a little biased because I'm from here, but anyway, there is something magical about this little island. And, these women, they came and we gathered and we cried and we had some fun, and they faced fears. Mm-hmm. Like, I was expecting we were going to be dealing with the loss for the 5 days, but we were facing fears. And I think this was sort of like a last minute addition to the retreat, but I think I'm going to keep it in there. We went on a snorkeling trip to Stingray City. And if anybody's familiar with the Cayman Islands, you know that one of the tourist attractions is Stingray City, where it's like in the middle of the ocean. You can stand in water waist deep, and there's about 30, 40 stingrays that come and they swim all around you. And these women, they wouldn't get in the water. And I was like, no, you all have to get in the water, because it was like a symbol. We were symbolizing that you were facing your fears, mm-hmm. and that the guilt and the shame that you've been carrying around since you've had the loss, the feeling that you're not complete, the feeling that you're not a whole woman, feeling that there's something wrong with you because you were not able to give birth to a child. Like, think of that as the stingray and get in the bloody water with them, right? So we had some fun times, and we had the stingrays, and it was really good. And, one of the women at the end, she's like, oh, I'm going to be back to the next one. And I was thinking to myself, I got to do this again? Okay, we're going to do this again. But it turned into something that I wasn't expecting. And so we're going to be doing it twice a year. So
that's amazing. When is the next one?
The next one is May 15th, 2019. So about 5 months. Yeah, so this one's going to be in May, and then the second one's going to be in October. They probably will be the same time every year, mm-hmm. May and October. And I've got the location that we had was beautiful. It was secluded. It was awesome.
I can't imagine a more powerful way to heal from something like a loss like that, being with other women that have gone through something either similar or the same experience. And then I'm not sure I would have been able to get in the water and faced stingrays. I mean, just physically doing that and then knowing that you did it has to be amazing to know that you've conquered a fear like that and what it does from that point forward. It's incredible. Yeah.
It was amazing just to see, the transformation in 3 days with these women and the transformation with myself as well. Everybody, everybody there, like we had I had a personal chef because I wanted, I want the women when they come to the retreat to feel that they're taken care of, because we as women go through life so much taking care of everybody else and we don't take care of ourselves.
Right.
And we feel guilty for like wanting to take care of ourselves or doing something good for ourselves or nice. And so like they're totally pampered. They just have to show up to the retreat. And even the chef, at the end of the 5 days, when she gave a little testimonial, like she even changed, and she was, and it was just so amazing the reach that this had, and just the healing. Like the facilitators, I remember one of the facilitators at the end of the first day, we kind of sat and we looked at each other and we're like, what the heck just happened? Because it totally blew our minds what these women showed up and they were ready to work on, and they were ready to transform, and they were ready to fully heal. And we were like, okay, we're going to have to figure out what to do, because this is not what we were expecting, in a good way. In a good way. Wow. It was amazing.
That is amazing. And just to think that, you have a nonprofit, you're doing this retreat setting for other women, you run your audiology clinic. Gosh, you're busy.
I have to stay busy, otherwise I'll get into trouble.
Oh, it's just really, gosh, such a powerful story stemming from such sadness. It's exactly who my listeners need to hear about. And I'm so glad that I have you as a guest, because it's a tribute to your tragedy and what you're doing now. It really is. Bringing back a lot of memories. So.
Well, I am honored to be here and to be with you. And, I just want to say something before I forget. And if you take nothing else from listening to this episode, if there is something that you want to do in your life, whether it be start a business or ask for promotion or take a trip around the world, or I don't know, dye your hair purple, if there's something that is tugging on your heart to do and you keep putting it off because you're going to say, I'm not ready, I'm waiting for the right time. I want to tell you, now is the time. My biggest desire is that women especially don't wait until they have an earth-shattering, life-changing rug pull out from under you moment like I did, for them to fully commit to living their truth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you share with my listeners if they want to make a donation, or how best just to reach out to you to get more information, how they could do that? And plus, they know that they can find your information on my podcast website too, because I'll have a direct link to everything. But just to verbally tell people, because sometimes they don't take the opportunity or the chance or the time to actually click on.
Sure. So you can always find me on my favorite virtual hangout spot, which is Instagram at Dr. Annette Stephenson, all one word. And Stephenson is Stephenson. So Dr. Annette Stephenson on Instagram. At Facebook, it's Light After Loss is the Facebook page. You can always email me, Annette at lightafterloss.com. If you want more information on the retreat, it's lightafterlossretreat.com. And the website for the foundation is coming soon. But if anybody listening and they wanted to make a donation towards the foundation, they can just send me an email and I will be happy to send them the donation link.
That's great. And again, I'll have all these links on my podcast, and I'll be sending this out to my email list as well. So
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Annette, for spending this time with us and sharing your story. And it's just, I'm just at a loss for words because you've just brought back so many memories of mine, myself, and I just can't even imagine if I had had that opportunity to do something like that, how life-changing it would have been for me to go on a retreat with women and to share and grieve and laugh and have a little fun and face your fears. I mean,
Stingray.
Yeah, I just can't. It's beautiful what you're doing. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And the retreat, Maureen, you're very welcome to come to the retreat too, because like you said, once you've experienced the miscarriage, that the pain doesn't go away. You don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is open to any woman who has experienced a pregnancy or infant loss, however long ago it was. So
perfect.
And one of the questions, I'm sorry, I know we're almost done, but one of the questions that was coming up with the last retreat was termination. So yes, we are not going to say because you terminated the pregnancy, you do not suffer and you're not feeling the grief, because termination could be for any number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not want women to feel like because they had to medically end or even voluntary end the pregnancy for whatever reason that they are not welcome. It is any woman who has experienced pregnancy loss in any capacity. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that. That's super important.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yes.
Well, thank you again, Annette. I really appreciate your time on this.
Thank you, Maureen.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me today. This episode is brought to you by my book, The Graceful Advocate, Taking Control of Your Life After a Diagnosis of Thyroid Disease. You can find it currently on Amazon. I love it because my friends call it a purse book. They keep it with them when they go to the pharmacy, grocery store, or even to the doctor's office. It's a great little guide to keep you on track and informed. I can't wait for next week when I get to see you back on the pod. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate you so much. If you ever need someone to chat with about your healing journey, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me through my website at maureenlake.com.